Here we go. Hi, Steve. Can you introduce yourself, please?
Hello. Hello there. Yes, you can call me Steve. I go by many various names, and I might meet one of my alter egos someday as a completely separate entity. However, yes, in this incarnation, I'm here to talk about Polish folk metal. Due to my extensive experiences with the scene and of course the band we're going to talk about, and chip in from a Polish and European perspective on things happening in Germany and Norway currently.
Okay. So today's topics are going to be German Hells Angels, followed by
Right.
Polish folk metal bands, followed by Listhaug. Now, I know that you probably don't know anything about the commentary of that, but we will go into it.
Yeah, no intricate nuance on Germany and Norway from me, but I can at least provide an external perspective on things.
Absolutely. So if we begin, we're going to talk about German state bans Hells Angels logo online.
You're echoing a little.
Yeah. We're just going to go straight into it. And apparently displaying the symbols of notorious motorcycle gangs, the Hells Angels, and the Bandidos is forbidden across Germany, but the ban has now extended to the internet. And websites are bearing the bright red Hells Angels lettering and the iconic winged skull, or so-called Fat Mexican of the Bandidos band, will now be punished. The Interior Minister of Western State of North Rhine-Westphalia, and I will not try to pronounce his name, but I think it's absolutely ridiculous, to be honest with you. I don't know much about
it seems bizarre for someone from outside Germany to see that a specific symbol is being just banned, not allowed to be displayed. It seems to be a weird arbitrary power to have.
I'd have to agree with you there. Like, we're forced to see a different side of Germany that is forceful and doesn't see opposing views. And the way that I see the Hells Angels and all of the biking community, the way that I see them is I always see them at festivals, and they've never been a problem to me.
Yeah, same here.
I always say that I'm half a mutt, all right? So, half a mutt. Well, I'm crossbreed, So, they've never been a problem to me. And they've always been...
it never occurred to me that the biker gangs would have any ethnic interests, so to speak, that they would focus on ethnicities or race at all. It seems weird that the article and Germany basically claims that they are some sort of far right or something.
Yeah, but I believe that they are involved in criminal acts.
Yeah, and definitely.
Which, to our discretion, all types of gangs have criminal activity because that's why they're gangs.
Yeah. That's right. Yes, exactly. Yes. What I would expect to happen is, detection of the actual criminal activity. I know the article mentions that the authorities are led to believe that they have been involved in criminal activity, but they don't really say that they have any evidence of it, which is a bit weird to me as well. And so I would expect them to actually investigate and find networks of organizations that do involve themselves in criminal activity instead of banning the symbolism.
Yeah, but symbols. Yeah, it's a very, very strong thing to do. I think on the internet, when you do see them, the first immediate reaction is, okay, so they're probably not involved in crime, or they're probably wanting to just ride around in a gang. But who am I supposed to say? Sometimes I feel as though that is an underlying issue between whether or not they are, or whether or not, they could be involved in criminal acts.
I think it kind of goes both ways in this case, as in I'm sure the authorities have some solid foundation for targeting like all of the bike gangs. As we know, there have been shootings and stuff, right? So we can probably assume that there is some legitimacy to take in focus on them, but it seems bizarre to focus on the sort of cultural aspect of it, not the strictly legal and citizen protection side. And why is there so much focus on the cultural side of it, like banning their symbols? It's like not really logical.
Yeah, I feel as though maybe there's an issue. Maybe between them, they politically don't agree with each other because there's different fractions, perhaps, that we don't know about. Maybe there's so many of them, because I read one of the articles and it said there's 143 different variant types of these biking gangs. And I didn't know that there was so many, to be honest with you. I thought that them being a part of a group meant nothing. It's just a bunch of men.
And I do believe it is quite likely that the actual people who are the problem out of that 300 targeted in one raid, maybe 10 of them are actual criminals, and the rest of them just rides along to look cool and stuff.
Well, it's like you say, they ride around to look cool, and I have to agree with you there. Because
it is a cool style after all, the style is popular, and they are trying to delegalize the style as well as actual crimes. It's bizarre.
Like when we watch Sons of Anarchy and we think of ourselves, those are real rebels and we want to be a part of that. And the sense of camaraderie, maybe it's just a bunch of men getting together with the bikes. And
my own brother owned multiple motorcycles, and he hung out with people who would organize that. They weren't like gangs, they were legitimate like biking clubs and stuff, but he knew some shady types as well. And it's where I'm from, they were just the mildest people, right? I know like there were shootings in Germany and stuff, but I'm really struggling to see the connection, how sharing, Hells Angels logo is gonna radicalize people into hardened criminals.
Well,
it's more likely that criminals pick these gangs because they are. idealizing, being the outlaw and stuff like that. So they know they're safer in those sort of environments than trying to mingle with the regular public,
I agree with you there. And you know what shocked me? I'm going to show everybody an article right now. What shocks me is that Germany have a problem with a Turkish sort of band, biker gang, and I never really thought that was possible. You know what I mean?
Like Ottoman Germania.
Yeah.
Wow. That is clearly an ethnic thing. Let's be honest. This is clearly ethnic.
Yeah, obviously, it says Germany has banned Turkish nationalist biker gang Osman in Germany and BC, accusing the group of carrying out violent crimes. Officials believe the gang has ties to Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan's government. Which, I mean, I feel a little bit like, what the heck is going on? I mean, apparently they're very members, but still.
Yeah, it might be that German authorities are just panicking because they discovered that a lot of these people having these biker groups are actually organizing into proper criminal gangs. And so they started sort of fighting fire by banning everything related to the phenomenon.
Yeah. I mean, the bannings, I feel as though this is 2020 now. We're going to get bans. We're going to get bans of...
Oh, yeah. I mean, but, you still have to point it out, speak out against it, even if it's happening. I mean, especially if it's happening. I mean, there's always good reason to talk about freedom of speech, I guess. But especially, seeing that the cultural items pertaining to things are getting banned, that's, unacceptable.
I mean, we're getting to the point of the video where it does discuss that there were problems with nightlife and the fact that, these biker groups would go up to a nightclub and say, you need better security, because they'd start try to take over.
Yeah, it looks to me like the most sort of basic law enforcement, though. It's not like, they've done something that never has ever done before, and therefore we must take special measures. No, it's a regular and organized sort of low-level organization crime, gangs. It's a basic law enforcement thing, and not a national sort of restructuring worthy thing.
I do feel since America has had so much influence over the world with this sort of like BLM stuff, and there is always going to be a pushback, We're always going to hear one opposing side to the other, and we in the middle, we have to think about what that means and who's whom and what's what, and where we place ourselves. But at the same time, I'm not judging anybody, because if I was in a situation in Germany and I had to make my mind up, I'd be like, who cares, man? I'm just here to enjoy myself. As a matter of fact, I mean, if you don't want to make more jobs, that's probably the reason why they're making the choices to be thugs and take over the nightlife, or they want to do other things that are destructive because, they have that image about them. Perhaps they get blamed a lot. Maybe there is a sort of a part of society where we all need to reflect back and think about the impacts, especially since during this time, like you say, we've got to think about freedom of speech, freedom of choices, freedom of beliefs. And for them, it's a belief system. They believe in that. They don't believe in anything else. They're there, and that's their friends. That's their life. You know. So who are we to judge them for their lives? If they're participating in criminal activity, yeah, I've got a bit of a problem with it, but each to their own. We used to think like that, each to their own, but now we don't.
Yeah. Now we have collective responsibility, of course. Yes.
Is it collective responsibility?
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, that means if someone from one group does something bad, then the whole group has to be held responsible.
Even if it was like 10, 20 years ago type thing.
Oh, yeah. Of course, yes. Also guilt by blood, so that there was that case of a spouse of a person who tweeted something offensive, and the spouse got fired for that.
Oh my word! You see, this is the thing. I mean,
it's some sort of like weird authoritarian extremism where the solution to everything is just banning and punishing everybody, no matter what. Just keep beating people up until they stop complaining, kind of thing. I think.
I understand the complications of violence and whether or not there is an association. But if there is, then it brings down the rest of the group, like everybody else is saying. And why don't they give them a chance? And
yeah.
But if this be the case, then everybody has to also start looking at BLM and start saying, are they involved in crime? Are these kind of terrorist motivations? And if so, then it's a problem. We don't really want it. So, but it kind of shocked me how they're all connecting this to Erdogan, and how the conversations have even ended up in court cases where they've mentioned this, and they've mentioned that they try to like get money and resources this way.
I can give you like a geopolitical game interpretation of the events. So Germany is trying to protect itself from Turkey, and for that reason it had to ban the Turkish nationalist biker gang. But they couldn't just target them; they had to target like all biker gangs, so as to make it look like they're not specifically targeting the Turkish one.
Well, apparently, this is according to the news as well. There was a band that there was a group that escaped, and they escaped to Denmark, which lo and behold, you've got all these Danish bikers, and they're called the Bandidos. I've never come across them, to be honest with you, but they seem like normal folks, to be honest with you, or what I would classify as normal. Their bikes are Harleys, but they've got choppers and all that.
Yeah, exactly. They look like people who would drive such vehicles. That's all. And that might be also yet another angle for Germany, is that they just want to get rid of them altogether for some German reasons. And so first they target the gang that is recognized by their bikes, and then they target just bikes overall.
But it does seem like quite a lot has happened around the world First they went after hate speech, and now they're after gangs and looking at their criminal activity. It feels kind of spooky, you know.
Yeah.
But it does affect.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much more criminal activity going on in Germany itself that I don't really think, I don't understand why would they very conspicuously throw all the resources on Hells Angels, you know.
It does affect music in such a dynamic way because of.
Oh yeah, because you know, it's the budgets now, but then they will say, oh, they all listen to a certain kind of music, you know.
Yeah, and that's how it all starts, and that's what I'm afraid of. Like, I'm afraid that they're gonna like get so wound up about the context of this, that, and the other. It will be the music that goes next, or it will be what people style of people's clothes or whatever that's next, which
Yeah, you know, I remember back in the 90s growing up, all the, you know, ultra Catholic old ladies were like, oh, this music is the devil and we should ban it all and throw people in jail. And 20, 30 years later, it's the same thing over again,
like
but now they're winning. Yeah. It's horrible.
we're going to be burned at the stake.
Yeah.
But, speaking of music, we're now going to discuss Polish folk music. If you're ready for it, if you're game.
I was born ready for Polish folk music.
What was that?
I was born ready for Polish